appreciate that you came today. I hope you're having a good time here. Looks like you all are, despite the inclement weather. It's better than last 2 weekends' inclement weather. I want to at first thank Mike and Pat for having us here and their entire crew who is hosting us here today. Great facility, good, perfect for an event like this. Bob and Sheila Moore, and I want to reach out to them and say thanks, as well as, where did he go, Dave Boone, who pitched in to help set things up and keep it running today. So thanks to you guys as well. Answer questions, and God knows what he's going to say for a few minutes. But when we're done, if you haven't yet completed your voting ballots for the cars, your favorite cars and categories, please do that and get your ballot into the box. We're going to try to get those all in by, say, 1 o'clock or shortly thereafter, so we can tally them up and hand out the awards to the folks who won. So, you probably have seen this guy on TV when he used to work in another establishment. Somehow Roger Barr seems to know what's wrong with a car just by touching it, looking at it, smelling it. I don't know what magic he uses, but maybe he'll let us in on some of those secrets today. So, thanks for being here.
What?
Does anybody have any questions of Roger? And by the way, I would say the first person to ask the question, that question will probably be answered for the next half hour. So get your hand up quick if you want a question answered.
I can't hear.
You can't hear that?
Yeah, we'll coach him.
Okay, all right.
No, you can give
So,
him the microphone.
Who's got a question about Roger? Okay, there's one over there.
Roger, I'm curious, is there a car you couldn't start?
Yes.
It's like everything you touch, you managed to bring to life.
He said, he's curious, is there ever a car you couldn't start because you always managed to bring a car to life?
Yeah, I gave it away for no money.
Yeah.
It was an Essex. You remember those?
Heard of it.
It was a 1930 Essex, 6-cylinder, and it had a vacuum fuel pump. You remember those?
Oh, yeah.
And it turned out it was rotted inside.
Got another 29 minutes, Roger. 29 minutes.
You've got another 29 minutes to entertain people.
I'll live that long. Yeah, we're gonna Bill Rutan, who had some notoriety here in the Northeast in his racing exploits, had a very curious Volkswagen-based hill climb car that I think you put your hand on at some point. Want to give us a little insight about what that's all about? I believe he climbed a hill out in New Hampshire with that car.
There was a guy down south, I forget the town, Billy Rutan, as good as they get as a mechanic and a maker of things. And he and his brother took an early VW Bug and cut it all up and everything else, and they found a Gmund engine. Does anybody know what a Gmund? You know what a Gmund engine is? A Porsche 4-cam roller bearing motor, and it's Gmund is because Ferdinand Porsche designed it while he was living in Gmund, Switzerland. No, Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland. And they got the engine and they put it in the back of this car. It had no hood, had no doors. The doors were covered with burlap stuff. And they went to Mount Washington Hill Climb and blew it away. They were several seconds faster than the Vazozis, the Gesundheits, and the Scallions, or whatever else was going at the time. And the engine, Billy sold it to a guy, and the guy ran it without oil and hurt the crank. And then Wayne bought it from the guy, and I was told to get it running, and I did, but it was sad to hear it suffer. And far as I know, when Billy passed away about 5 years ago, and I don't know where the car went, but it was a savagely fast hill climber car. You can see there was no hood, no gas tank in front. It was just a thing with a steering wheel and a gear shift and this beautiful engine. Nothing lasts forever.
What car did you have the most fun working on?
All right. When I was in the service, I was at base in Illinois, Rantoul, Illinois, and one of the guys in the squadron, it was a school place, bought an MGTC. Nobody had ever seen one before, and it had various problems. So we went to the hobby shop, and they didn't have anything to work on it, so I took the radiator off and got a 2x4 and pried the engine out onto the floor. And yeah, it was kind of stupid, and no wrenches fitted that they had at the hobby shop, and darn if I didn't get it working. And the big thing then when you're in the service in your first year, you got to do stupid things, and I have a degree in that. So we get in the TC with the top down, and we go out on the highway, and the driver would sit on the left side. No, he sat on the right side. But the guy on the left side had a newspaper, and he was like this. And we'd pass people, and I'd be actually steering, but not visibly so much. And it created quite a lot of fun.
You shouldn't admit this stuff.
It's not like it's being video recorded.
I got one for you.
Uh-oh.
What's your best racing story?
This racing. Oh, all right. First year was in 2 years in Formula V. Whatever. 41 horsepower. Get stuck in bubble gum in the parking lot. You couldn't pull out of it. But the guy that built the cars at the time, Autodynamics, was Ray Caldwell, who, because my friends and crew were sick people, we called him Great Ray, because at the time in the subway in New York City there was some pervert named Great Ray. He didn't know that, but anyway, the last race of the season was at Thompson Speedway. It was great. 3 days, camping, food, sleeping in the pine needles, the whole 9 yards. And we left the car and went home overnight. And the next morning we were the first race, Formula V's, and there was Ray next to me on the pole. And off we went, and watching Formula V's run is sort of like watching grass grow simultaneously. You know, just move down the track a bunch. And going into the first right-hand turn, I hit the brake pedal, and it went right to the chassis, clunk. And I started pumping madly, and I talked to God. I said, I'll give up ice cream and everything if I'll live through this. And I went straight into the bushes, and before I stopped moving, I had it in reverse, and the wheels were doing this. And I came back onto the track last, and I got pouty and angry, and I said some nasty words like heck and oh gosh and stuff. And I passed everybody, made up time, and Great Ray was leading. And the old Thompson, you went up a hill and around the light bulb, it was called. And what is it called? It's still a light bulb, but it's real slow. And there was Ray. And so it required something stupid, so I passed him on the outside, like he was parked. And the best part of that was, he looked at me and I looked at him. And we both got through the turn, but I won the race in the 2 turns from the end, from the end of the left. And that was fun because he was really upset. He was.
Didn't you run somebody over in the pits once?
What?
Didn't you run someone over in the pits once?
Is this necessary? I didn't actually run him completely over. Honest. When I was in Europe, I got to drive an Austin Healey at Le Mans. It was before the 6 cylinders, and what was happening in Europe at that time was car companies would get a GI who had some experience, not much, and give him a car so that you buy that car. You know, that Le Mans, so and so, so and so. And so I was driving one of the Austin Healey 4 cylinders. And because I can see in dark, I can't see in the daytime, by the way, so don't get in my way. And you came, before you got to the Molzone straight, there was a jog. And in front of you, when you went left-right, was a barricade of twigs and bales. That's what they call safety equipment. And that's where the pit signs came. So you'd be coming into that turn and give your number and say, come into the pits. So I did. I remember 4 times down, and Alfie, a guy named Alfie. All British racing teams have a guy named Alfie. Most of the time he's a tire breaker. He puts the tires on. So he came running out with the board, and I went into first, slowed down, pushed in on the clutch, and ran him over. And not really over. I mean, just down he went on the board, and I got up top of him a little bit. Is this necessary? Anyway, the joke of it was the guys in the pit were hysterical. Look like the Yank run over Alfie. And he wasn't hurt, and I found out that the hydraulic clutch wasn't working anymore, but the spring felt good on the pedal, so that's all. Nobody seemed to care.
Except Alfie.
This is humiliating.
What was the first car you ever owned yourself?
The first car was a 1929 Essex coupe, rumble seat, and a factory-installed shade in the back window. You have no idea. Anyway.
You don't have to tell us all those stories.
I don't remember any of it. I think it's time to just shut up. But had that car till I went in the Air Force. I don't know. But it would do 65 miles an hour if the plane you dropped it out of was high enough. You know, wooden spoke wheels, no water pump. You know what thermal siphon is? Who knows? What is it?
Well, the heat will rise and flow.
The radiator, the cooling system does hot, goes to the top, goes into the top, falls, gets cool, goes down to the bottom, and goes back into the motor. When it got cold quickly, you could take the radiator cap off and see the water moving. Anyway, it was a nice car. $75, and
With the shade. With the shade for only $75.
that's
Shade.
The shade.
with,
That's a bargain.
and it had a tassel on it.
The luxury.
Down the pane.
Roger, do you have a memorable road trip?
Do I have what?
A memorable road trip?
A road trip.
A road trip.
A really memorable road trip where you went somewhere. Well, your flatbed.
Pardon?
Didn't you race on an island once?
I went to Nassau. Road trip. We got a paid invitation to Nassau Speedway. And so the car, it was stupid, we shouldn't have gone. Went on the back of the flatbed VW, 1960, 40 horse. Yeah, it moved occasionally. And drove to Miami, and they said, go to that dock, pier. We did, and there was an LST. Do you know what an LST is?
It's a boat that can land onto the shore.
It was a landing craft. Landing craft tank. The front of it opened up like that, and all of the race cars, trailers, and stuff went into that. And the last thing that they put in across the side of the thing was my truck, and then we got some sort of a ship, an overnight trip to Nassau, and it was a total mistake to go there. Turned out it was a party thing, you know, and it was a waste of time, but that was kind of an interesting trip. I can truthfully say I drove to Nassau. Or sort of, anyway.
Have I humiliated myself?
I think so.
Not at all.
Anyone else? Let's give Roger a hand.
All right, thank you, Roger.
I need a hand getting up.
You want to throw another one?